So it turns out that Jimmy Page, the master of such sinister riffs as Kashmir and haunting diabolical solos as Dazed and Confused, the Lord of Darkness who's reputed to have possibly sold his soul to Satan in exchange for earthly power and riches, was actually afraid to record one of his own guitar solos, and perhaps not for the reasons that you might think. I'm going to tell you the story about that right now. And this information comes from an article over at Far Out by Tyler Golson. And the article mentions that when Led Zeppelin was recording the album Presence, they had to do it very quickly. And they were doing it after Robert Plant was injured in a car accident. And so I'm going to quote from the article here. It says, quote, "Due to the group's tax exile status, something many British rock groups that had made their money in the last decade were facing, the group absconded to Munich to record at the Musicland Studios space. Fellow tax exiles, the Rolling Stones, were set to record directly after them. And when Page failed to complete the recording before the allotted time, he negotiated with the Stones to borrow 2 days of their recording time," end quote. Now this put some pressure on Page as it came time to record one of his most important guitar solos. We're not talking about Achilles' Last Stand, we're not talking about For Your Life, we're not even talking about Hot Dog or Royal Orleans, we're talking about the track T for One. And the article says, quote, "For the first time in his professional career, Page was stumped about what to do. I ended up sitting there thinking, I've got to do this guitar solo." But he didn't know what he wanted to do. Stage fright was something that most artists had to overcome during their time in the spotlight, but studio fright was not a feeling that the accomplished Page had ever expected. "I was really a bit frightened of it. I thought, what's to be done?" End quote. So if you're a Led Zeppelin fan like me, you're surprised to hear that the solo for T for One presented a bit of a conundrum for Page, considering that T for One is basically another iteration of Since I've Been Loving You, and that song had been included in virtually every single Led Zeppelin live performance from the very beginning of the band. But in fact, this may have been the problem. It may have been that Page had soloed over this minor key blues progression so many times that he was worried about what could he do that would be novel or interesting on the actual recorded version on Presence. The other issue may have been, since it was an obvious slow blues track, that he would then be compared to other blues players like Eric Clapton, Jeff Beck, and maybe even players like B.B. King or Buddy Guy. And he had a bit of trepidation about what he knew those players would see in his version of this minor blues progression. And another one may have been he was just burned out from the really, really difficult Presence sessions. He went 2 or 3 days without sleeping to finish the guitar overdubs. Songs like Achilles' Last Stand really took a lot out of him. And so when it came time to record the long extended solo in T for One, he may have just been a bit drained. But I'm interested to hear what your ideas might be. First of all, do you like the solo in T for One? Do you think it's that much different from Since I've Been Loving You? You can feel the sweat and blood behind it a little bit more than the similar riffs in Since I've Been Loving You. This is what I think, but what really matters is what you think. So if you have an idea about this or any other topic connected to classic or contemporary music, please drop it in the section below, and remember to like and subscribe. So check out the join button that's available now. If you choose to become a channel member, you'll gain access to members only badges, members only videos, members only polls, and other cool perks you'll see when you click on the button. You can also help out the channel by clicking on the Buy Me a Coffee link, going to the Buy Me a Coffee site, and leaving a donation. Every little bit helps this channel stay strong. Thanks a lot.